Guys, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you needed a lawyer? Maybe it's a divorce, child custody, or land dispute? Don't worry. Today I'm here with an advocate of the High Court to tell us more on that. My name is Fides and welcome to The Informative.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Obogi. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, a law lecturer, and a legal associate at the African Union. I work with the firm of Maalim and Associates that is based or situated at IPS building, which is next to Sarova Stanley along Kimathi Street.
Jonathan, I understand that there are several issues that make people want to go to court,
Yes.
like divorce, child custody, land disputes. Those are things that really trouble people. Can you tell us more about them?
Yes, actually the issues that you've mentioned are very emotive in this country because you understand the family is the fundamental social unit. It's the basic social unit.
Yeah.
So once that family disintegrates, then every other thing in a society disintegrates. So I think basically I would start by explaining what divorce is. Sometimes to also differentiate between divorce and annulment. I will try as much as I can to use very simple English. You will forgive me if I go to legalese. And then I'll talk about child custody. Okay?
Yeah.
So for me to talk about divorce, we need to understand the types of marriages that we have in this country.
Okay.
We have an act of parliament. An act of parliament is a law that regulates marriages in this country.
Okay.
And the law recognizes 5 types of marriages. There's a marriage that can be conducted through what we call customary ceremony or customary marriage. This is where parties to the marriage perform the traditional rituals or the traditional ceremonies. You know, there's have the rurashio, Ngasia, depending on where you come from. Once those rituals are performed, then parties also go to the registrar of marriages to have them issued with a certificate to evidence or to show that actually they're married.
Okay.
There is a civil marriage. This is what you mostly hear people refer to as marriage at the AG. You know, the Attorney General marriage. This is where you also go to the registrar, you get your certificate of marriage after you, of course, you exchange your vows and whatnot. Then there is a marriage that is performed under what you call Islamic law. Basically, as the word suggests, this is one that is done under the laws and traditions of the Islam.
Okay.
There is Hindu marriage. Now this one is for the Hindu people.
The Hindu culture.
In the Hindu culture. In those marriages, you would have, there's also Christian marriage, which I should not forget. Christian marriage for people who profess Christianity. For all those marriages, there are rules as to what is to constitute those marriages. For instance, civil and Christian marriages are marriages that actually recognize monogamy, which means you only have to have one partner. If you have more than one partner, then that defeats the whole essence of that type of marriage.
Okay.
But if you go to customary, the traditional one, you know, they say an African man is polygamous by nature.
And is that true?
I don't know. I don't have.
You're an African man. Come on.
So there is that, and then there's the other element of Islamic law as well, which allows up to 4. So those ones, for example, if you're married under civil and you go on and marry another person, you would have committed a crime under the Kenyan laws, which is called an offense of bigamy. Yes.
Okay.
And that is also a ground for
divorce.
So there, these ceremonies or these laws actually give out or lay out grounds upon which an individual can file for divorce.
Before we head there.
Yes.
I recently saw that the government passed a Christian man can marry more than one wife.
When did it pass that?
I saw it.
You know, there is the whole element of misinformation on social media. The government cannot pass a law. An executive does not have powers to pass a law. It has to go through parliament. And sometimes even the court can make recommendations to have amendments done. But as it stands, if you're having a marriage under the Christian or civil marriage, you're supposed to have one spouse.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love our legal system for that. Yeah, one man, one woman.
But depends on where you, what point you view it from.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we were going on to divorce and annulment. So divorce generally is when parties now have reached to a point where they say, we can't live together anymore. So they want to go to court and seek the court's intervention so that marriage is dissolved.
Okay.
There's a difference between divorce and annulment of marriage. Divorce proceeds with the presumption that the marriage that was entered in between the parties is a valid marriage, which means parties consented and all other factors, whether it was done in either of the five, in any of the five ceremonies, it was a valid marriage. Annulment of a marriage is when somebody moves to court and claims that they entered into a marriage that was not valid from the word go. Okay? And there are reasons or grounds upon which somebody can say that.
Yeah.
For example, if they were coerced or forced into that marriage. The other thing is, if, for example, by the time they were getting into the marriage ceremony, the woman was pregnant without the knowledge of the man.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
Or if the marriage has not been consummated. Literally to mean, if you guys have not had sex since you started the marriage, there can be a reason to annul. It means that the marriage never took off. How
can the court determine that people have not consummated their marriage?
Usually the point is, that is a very interesting question, because the question of bedroom affairs raises the issue of how can the court then determine.
Yeah.
But when you move the court, you come out with, sometimes people come with evidence like text messages. Somebody says, we've not had this for long, all those.
Ever since we...
Yes, okay. Ever since we did that.
That makes sense.
But there's a rider though. Anybody who wishes to annul a marriage must do so within 1 year of marriage.
Oh.
So there's a time frame. So you must have that done within 1 year.
1 year, okay.
Past that, then you're limited.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So that is annulment. The other aspect is now divorce. Divorce is where you now move to court through what we call a petition. A petition is a request, generally speaking, using the layman's language, is a request that you make to court. And you lay grounds and you say, I wish to dissolve my marriage because of these grounds. There are general grounds upon which an individual can seek divorce. Okay. First, cruelty of a partner. If a partner is abusive, they're mentally unfit, if a partner has deserted you for more than 2 years, those are grounds upon which you can use to file for divorce. Adultery, your partner is cheating. Under Christian marriage, they say that if you have exceptional depravity, and I will explain that what it means, is that if somebody's moral compass faces to the true south, it's very questionable. Wow. You can take that to court.
Okay.
Yes.
So you see, nowadays we're seeing a lot of people separate or divorce.
Yes.
And most of the reasons, I find them petty. Like, for example, I no longer want to be with this person. And when they ask, they're like, I'm just not interested anymore.
Yes.
Are those grounds for divorce really?
If a marriage is irretrievably broken, if a marriage, you cannot reconcile. Some scholars have actually called it, if it becomes an empty shell.
Yeah.
You are in a marriage, but nothing is working. You're not seeing eye to eye. Those are some of the grounds you can, because sometimes what is the essence of a union if it's not really functioning? Okay. And we have scenarios whereby people have also separated. They're living together. You've had scenarios whereby somebody lives in a separate bedroom. They're like roommates. They have those arrangements. With evidence presented in court, those can be grounds upon which an individual can move the court or ask the court to dissolve that marriage. Okay. Yes.
But you've said if the system is not functioning, right?
Yes.
But you see, sometimes just because it's not functioning does not mean it cannot be amended. It cannot be repaired.
Yes.
As a lawyer,
yes.
Are there couples who come to you and you advise them maybe to work on the union? Yes. Because like our great grandparents, our grandparents, they withstood a lot, and that's why those families remain to be intact.
Yeah.
Do you think that the current generation is really giving up easily? Because I believe nothing is easy. Nothing good comes easy, and marriage is such a wonderful thing.
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting question, because your question raises two issues. First is, what are the mechanisms for alternative dispute resolution before rushing to court?
Yeah.
You know, can you have a scenario whereby you can have people talk, try to resolve things? And you'd find even under the Christian marriage, the law provides for mechanisms upon which people can invite church ministers or other persons to try to reconcile the parties.
Yeah.
So that is available. Even when somebody walks into this office and they tell you, and this is like, it's a joke that we usually have, you would have scenarios whereby you're representing a client. A client has told you to file a divorce. You'll file a petition for divorce. You go to court, you enter what we call appearance. But the next time you're coming to court, first your client emerges with the partner.
Holding hands.
Exactly. They're holding hands. And then anamwambia, huyu ndiye anatugonganisha. So divorce issues are very difficult. You know, parties, they could be out of anger, they want to divorce. So you need to cancel the clients as well
before you take them.
Yes.
You give them the option of going to court.
Exactly.
That is really nice if that's what you do.
So the other element that you mentioned is about our generation. You know, we live at a time where most marriages right now, it's either the millennials or Gen Z, and we I don't think we're yet to the alpha generation, but these two generations, they are quite litigious, which means that they opt to go to court way faster before trying to resolve matters amicably. Yeah. Okay. So when we have such matters come to us, as I say, the first thing we do is we double up. We become counselors first. You know, we talk to you and ask you whether actually this is what you really need. Yeah. And if you hell-bent, if you really decide that this is what you need, then we give you the best legal representation. Yeah. Yes.
But is it safe to say that the current generation is really giving up so fast on things, including marriages?
I don't think that is quite true, because I feel the reason as to why people say it is giving up quite fast is because of the things that are available for us, the internet, the materials. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was telling me that in a group, she spoke to 4 people who are married, and they were talking how horrible marriage is, and she's not married. You see how discouraging that is for anybody who wants to get married. Yeah. So sometimes when you even get married, you first of all, instead of being positive minded, you start by looking at those red flags. Yeah. And then I have a lawyer, I want out. Yeah. Yes. So that would be difficult.
Which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, out of the divorce, some of the partners end up, they had children before the divorce happened. Yes. And it really affects the children. Yes. So where do you come in as a lawyer?
So what happens is that there are parents after divorce who are good enough to have what you call a parental responsibility agreement.
PRA.
You know? Yeah. So where you have them having a custodial arrangement, we say, fine, I mean, I know this has not worked, but then we can agree on who takes the actual custody. Actual custody means that who takes the physical possession of the child and who becomes a guardian, who takes, care of the welfare of the child. Okay. Is it a joint thing or is it something that people do separately? If they opt for the parental responsibility arrangement, this one can be adopted by the court and becomes a court order, where parties set out, they say, this is what we want for our child, this is your responsibility, this is the other party's responsibility. That becomes quite easier. But there are scenarios whereby, divorce becomes messy.
And bitter, people are like...
Yes, and bitter. I said it's very emotive. You'd have people exposing each other through text messages. The messages as you see how somebody that was once your sweetheart becomes your arch enemy. Yeah. Now, when that happens, you would have a scenario where somebody wants to have custody of the children. They say, I don't want that devil to deal with my child. Now it is my child.
Become a devil.
Exactly, a devil.
It baffles me, people who really loved each other. Yes. And then you start calling each other names, even sometimes in front of the child. Yes. Yeah. Yes. You find sometimes fathers, I don't want to lie on one side because I'm a lady. Yes. But you see, it's mostly the fathers who abdicate their duties.
Yes. However, ladies.
Even ladies, the ladies who leave their children and they never look back, actually, which is really unfortunate. Yes. So what do you have to say about that?
So usually when that happens, especially, clients come to you and they tell you that I have been either denied access to my child or somebody has abducted my child, they have gone with the child. Now I need to go to court and to ensure that I get the custody of this child.
Yeah.
So what happens is that we move to court. There's a children's court where you make an application depending on what the child the client wants. And maybe a little bit of detour is you would even have scenarios whereby somebody is saying, I don't want to take care of this child because I'm not the dad. You know, so we have to make an application for the DNA test.
Yeah.
You know, to establish the paternity.
Yeah.
For this person to be responsible.
Yeah.
However, there are areas whereby for custody of a child, the courts have to look on a number of issues. But the primary thing that the court looks at is what we call the best interest of the child. It is what is this element that has to advance the child's welfare.
Yeah.
There's a law that governs the children welfare in this country. You would have a scenario whereby if somebody moves to court and they want custody of a child, traditionally, if it's an infant and sometimes a child of below the age of 7 years or even 10 years, the courts had a preference of giving these children to their mothers. But up to until 2022, the court then said, no, this best interest of the child should reign supreme. It should override. You know, if you could say you're giving a mother custody, and custody means that control of this child. Yeah. But this mother is unfit, unfit, so to speak, meaning that maybe she has mental issues or she's a drug addict. You know, she has other engagements that could endanger the child's welfare. Yeah. So in those circumstances, the court then shifts the custody to the father. To the father. Okay. Yeah. So then it happens that you move to court, but the court will only look at the best interest of the child. Also the child's interest, okay, or wishes. What does the child wish? Yeah. For those children who are able to speak and express their wishes, what does the child wish? The other thing is, what do their siblings wish? Because you are going to take them away from their siblings. Yeah. You know, what are their wishes as well? Yeah. So those are some of the factors that the court has to consider before making a determination on who is to take custody of the child. Okay. But there are different types of custodies. There's what we call sole custody. Sole custody means that one parent takes the actual physical control or possession of the child. Okay. Okay? Yeah. And there is sole custody with access. This is where one party will take the actual control, possession of the child, but the other party is allowed to access, to visit, visitation rights, to visit the child at whatever time. Okay. Or that can be arranged with the court. You know, you're told you visit at every Sundays or every Saturdays. That is arranged. Yeah. There's something called joint custody. Joint custody now is whereby both parties are in a good position. They can provide for the child. So maybe a mother takes 3 days time with the child, then the father comes for the child for after the 3 days and also stays with the child for 3 days in the alternate. Okay. So that happens as well in court. You have mentioned sole custody. Yeah. So what makes the court give that kind of a provision where the child is given to one parent only? Yeah. Because I believe the child needs both parents to grow properly. True. It's true. The child needs both parents, but sometimes exposure to one parent could be very detrimental to the child's welfare and health mental state. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So sometimes when it is evidence in court, and you must demonstrate before a court. The court doesn't, in a whimsical manner or in a manner that is not well informed, decide that you're the one who is going to take full control of the child at the exclusion of the other party. Yeah, based on hearsay. Yes, based on hearsay, exactly. You must demonstrate that the other party is either abusive, the other party is a drunkard, is an addict. So any exposure to this other partner, child's exposure, then will detriment the child's mental welfare. That then the court might decide that actually one party is to have sole custody. Yeah. Yes. I appreciate that you have said that the court looks at the best interest of the child. Yes. But I had an experience with a friend. Yes. So my friend was going through a divorce. Yes. And the court provided that the child would live with the mother and the father would send his contribution, the one that he was ordered to send. Yes. But you see now this father, he doesn't care about the child. He doesn't call the child. He doesn't
he doesn't bother to even go and visit the child.
Yes.
So I asked my friend, what do you think about that? Because I could see she was really bothered. And she even talked to the people at the children's department about it. And this is what she was told, that as much as the court provides for a provision on how the child would be provided for, it can never force a parent to be present.
Yes.
Don't you think that's unfair?
But you see, again, it's the same thing. You cannot be forced to be a father to someone. You can be forced to provide because you fathered this child. You can be forced to provide. But then the actual relation, the court can't force a relationship.
You can't force a relationship.
You can't force a relationship. You can say, okay, fine, we force you to be a father, be present, and then the person becomes toxic.
It will be detrimental. They'll be like, I was even forced to be with you here.
Exactly.
The child will experience,
Exactly.
There's been this issue that has come up of late, over the past 2 years or 3, where the parents are told once they have separated, they take 50-50 in terms of provision of the child.
Yes.
So would you mind educating us about it?
Yeah, that is a legal term. It's called child maintenance.
Yeah.
You know, what becomes of it, once the child is, for example, you have actual custody of the child, you're the one taking care of the child. Usually, traditionally, the best thing that would seem sensible would be a 50-50. You take 50%, 50%. But then what measures are to be used, or rather, what is the scale that is used to say this is the 50, this is the other 50?
Okay.
Now, what the courts do is that if a person has actual custody, for example, you have a child with you, some courts have been very generous enough to say, fine, you will take care of. You will pay for shelter, you will pay for clothing and food for the child, and the other party is to pay for school, is to pay for medical, and is to pay for other incidentals of expenses for the child, for example, entertainment and whatnot. But there are instances whereby the other party, in most cases becomes the father, is asked to even pay for rent, okay, and entertainment and all other incidentals, and maybe now the mother provides for clothing and food for the child. That instance is a bit restrictive, if you ask me. But then the courts look at the means, looks at the earning of a parent. You can find a father earns way better than the mother. You can't tell the mother to pay for a nanny, to pay for rent, to pay for all those things. These are things that the court look at. The courts want to advance the best interest of the child, but they also don't want to be too unfair to one party. Okay, they have to look at your financial muscles. How well can you take care of a child? I've seen a scenario when I started practicing. I saw a case in court whereby a mother was demanding from the spouse to pay for rent, to pay for accommodation, and that is a nanny as well, and food, and also to take care of NHIF and school fees. And mind you, that guy was doing easy mjengo.
What?
You get? So he's living from hand to mouth. So the courts are very, they take what we call judicial notice of that. They look at these circumstances and they say, no, this would be very burdensome on this person. And also sometimes look at maybe, you're not the only child, the only wife with a child that this person has, or the only person with a child that this person has. Probably you had a child with him, he has other children elsewhere. So they cannot grant this to your child at the expense of other children. So those are circumstances that have to be put into play before a final determination is given.
I've seen mothers claim, for example, if she was married or they were in a relationship with a very wealthy person and they separate.
Yes.
So probably this mother is not working, or they're not being paid well. So I hear people say they want to maintain the standards that the child used to live in.
Yes.
Is that possible?
You see, the best interest of the child, and you've seen their cases. I would say this because it's in the public. You've seen who's, I don't know if it's cousin or brother.
And Anne Keguta.
When Anne Keguta is asking for some millions, and the point is that the child is used to a particular lifestyle. That is a very sound argument, because if you've divorced or separated, the child should not be at a loss, or disadvantaged. If the father has the abilities to provide for the child and give that particular well-being, then so be it. The danger to that, however, is the father can then say, no, I need actual custody. I can take care of this child best when I'm with this child.
Because I have the best means.
Yes, exactly. I have the best means, I have the best possible ways, and I'm mentally fit to do that.
What?
And what then will stop you as a man from taking that, or you as a judge from granting that prayer to the father. So now the question then comes in. They say, no, I want you to provide for the child and give them that best lifestyle that they had while they're with me. The other argument that people make is that becomes a rip-off. The woman would use it to rip the man off.
To continue maintaining the lifestyle.
Exactly. But remember, what connects the two of you is in a legal term, the child, which the courts call an issue. It is this issue that connects you. Okay? So you should not use this issue as a rip-off to the man.
Yeah.
Yes.
But is it really? Because at the end of the day, it's the children who are benefiting more from that.
Yeah, that's a debate, because sometimes it depends on where you sit from. We as lawyers, what we're trying to say is that if the mother comes to us and they seek representation to have that child continue having the same lifestyle, we will represent them. But if the father comes to us and say this is a rip-off, we will represent the father.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So is there a possibility of the mother winning? What are the chances?
The odds usually tilts towards the evidence that you have. You get what are the circumstances, what is the evidence that you have in court.
Like you say, you've been saying all through. Evidence presented to court.
Yes.
Because the court uses evidence that has been brought to them.
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
And maybe to just give a brief introduction, I know it's a bit detached, but sometimes you'd have the issue of land, which is very, very emotive as well. You have somebody is told that you bought land, but somebody else has bought the same land. Then you're told, now can you at least leave this property because you are not the rightful owner. The problem that most people make when purchasing land is there's something called due diligence. Unaambiwa kuna proti mahali, Ruai. These influencers are out there advertising them, and because they tell you that it is 450,000 with a ready title, you're quick to rush there. Lawyers are very important people, because we as lawyers, we do a background check for you. We do a background check, we look at the title, and there's something, sometimes you would have a scenario where we even go beyond that title. Okay? We go to the records and see from the first owner, this property was passed down to different buyers up to until the last person who wants to sell to you. So we investigate. Sometimes you'd have the person who wants to sell land to you does not have an entry in the land registry. Okay? Our role is to investigate and ensure that this person who's selling land to you is genuine. The problems that people have, and we've seen with our clients here, is that you'd have somebody come to you and tell you that we are selling this property at 4.5 million shillings. But then we want you to pay 10% deposit, after which then we'll start the process of transfer. And then let's say you would pay your 450,000. You say from 4.5, 450,000 is not too much. But these people are conmen. They go to 10 other people. They sell the same property. And I've had a very personal friend who encountered such scenarios. Now that stops being a land issue and becomes a criminal matter. Exactly. So where
because that's criminal.
Exactly, that becomes criminal.
That's stealing from people.
Yes. So you find yourself in a scenario whereby you have two issues. You want land, you want to go to court and challenge this whole element. So search is very important. You do your search, you do your diligence, and involve a lawyer, because when you have even that transfer, when you have a sale agreement, the lawyer has to look at the terms. Okay, the law has to look at the terms that are in that agreement. And there are different types of sale of property, and I will use very basic languages. We have scenarios whereby people tell you that we are developing this property. We want you to pay. You're paying for a property that has not been developed yet. Okay, you're paying for a house that has not been developed yet. Now, the problem with those contracts is that you would find people have not told you when the project is to be completed. Okay? And what becomes of you as a purchaser if by the time that property is to be completed, it has not been completed? What is your recourse? And you'd find people, they find a very sweet deal. It's a beachfront property, you want it, you're quick to, you sign it, you don't need an advocate. I keep on insisting. You need an advocate, and find a good advocate. Sometimes, some of us, you'd find an advocate who is also, once quick money. You know? I say that the best way to retain a client is to give them best services. And the best services is when you ensure that the client walks out smiling. You have a good deal. You have something that is worth your money. So all in all, please, this is also to your viewers, that don't shy away from advocates, especially if you want to invest. If you want to invest, or maybe back to what we said, if you have a child custody issue or a divorce issue, you know, engage a lawyer, engage an advocate.
They make it easier for you.
Yes.
Because Jonathan, you have said that you're a legal associate at the AU, and for someone to get that kind of a position, you have to be really good at what you do. So tell us, what makes a good lawyer?
I think as a lawyer, you are always learning, and a good lawyer is one who keeps on learning. One of the famous scholars, which I can't remember the name, says that a lawyer dies once they stop learning. So I'm always learning.
Nice.
Process.
You know, one would argue a good lawyer is a good liar.
I get that a lot.
What do you think about that?
I don't think we are liars. We give alternative facts. Yes.
Which are lies. Which can be termed as lies.
People think we are liars, but no. And you know, sometimes people brand us as liars until they need us. So when they need us, we become now all these poster boys. But when we are on the other side, we're demons who are liars.
Oh wow. Okay. But you know, the important thing is that the client who has hired you wins the case at the end of the day.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Lawyers promote social justice and protect human rights. Just like Jonathan said, please let us try to be diligent in everything that we do. Jonathan, it's been an honor having you here at The Informative.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best at the AU.
Thank you very much.
Please fly the Kenyan flag so high.
Thank you.
Because I think you're such an intelligent human being.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. And guys, I mean, support this lady. I think she does an amazing job as well. Yeah, so guys, thank you very much, Fides, for this. I would ask you guys to actually support her by subscribing, sharing, and even liking. Thank you very much.
Yes, until next time. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye.